gonna get this started. I'm gonna put on this regular beat. Alright, gonna get started. Hello. Hi, friends. I hope that you are doing well today despite much news and much heartbreak. We'll find our way. But for now, we're going to talk about food and how I can help you. I hope that I have been helping you, and I want to do these in a better way. So I have a lot of like cool updates and like ways I'm going to improve the stream. But yeah, hello. I hope you're doing well. Let's see. So for those of you who are just tuning in, last time we talked about farro, buckwheat, which we learned was not actually wheat, currants and cacao nibs, and among other, topics that we brought up last week. You can watch all the clips here on my channel if you click on the videos link, I think above my head. And Twitch deletes the streams after 2 weeks, so I'll be uploading all the archive to youtube.com/JennDLV, JENNDLV, and you can watch the replay. You can still comment there, but it won't be live. I'll see your comments eventually, but, send me questions on Twitter. I'll be faster to respond there. But, yeah. So some business before we get into the food stuff. Patreon has slowly become one of the ways that I'm trying to make up for the work that I lost. I'm talking to all the weddings that I'm going to be or supposed to be catering this year, and hopefully none of them move or cancel, but it's an ongoing conversation, but it's a reality I might have to confront. But Patreon is here. My username is Randwiches, which is here below my name, and it's here. So if you go to patreon.com/randwiches, you can get the free pantry guide, which is bulked up with information that we learn on these streams. I have a column that's starting on April 17th called Wasuremono, which is about ingredients that are left behind when you make a recipe for the first time. I've got a birth month special going on until April 30th. Let's see, let me show you. This is like a new thing that I'm testing. Look, see, it's me. So Patreon, I have a birth month special. If you're new to Patreon and you join my snack tier, which is $2, or anything above that, $2 a month, you get a free pixel egg sticker designed by my friend Rachel Viola, who goes by the name Drip online. So we did a first run of these when I started on Patreon, and I ran out, and so to, make more egg stickers, I reordered more, and I'll put them in my Etsy store later on after we do this Patreon birth month special. So it's going to be valid until April 30th, which is very, very exciting. Yeah. Cool. So Patreon, let me tell you about all the things that are happening on Patreon. So I mentioned you get a free egg sticker if you join this month until April 30th. There are a few subscription levels. So it's free to follow me on Patreon. I'll have posts every now and then, especially the monthly column that I mentioned. Those are free. So you can just follow anybody on Patreon. Great. For $1, you unlock all of my cheese infographics. I have infographics about how to make cheese, how it's aged, how to cook it, and a little bit about the American cheese climate right now. The cheese industry was already in trouble before the pandemic, but I have some stats about like how much cheese we eat in America and what kind of cheese is made here domestically, because we're not going to be able to import as much great cheese anymore. But you can learn all about that on my Patreon, the $1 a month level. And then there's a $2 snack level, which I think is the popular one. I don't know. It's basically a recipe a week. All the recipes are 5 ingredients or less. And I add in a bunch of substitutions and swaps for the various diets. And I just think it's a great starting point. Like, I'll take complicated recipes and strip them down to their basic parts. And then you can add those more complicated parts when you're more comfortable with cooking. So it's meant for people who are new to the kitchen or trying to, I don't know, understand cooking a little bit more. So that's a snack tier on Patreon. I have a $5 tier called the Speakeasy, and it has a monthly update of all of the articles I've been writing, all the videos I've been in, just a lot more help and support when it comes to being in the kitchen. It used to include pop-up discounts, but hopefully I'll be able to do more pop-ups in the future, so we'll be able to share more discounts. And I also have a $15 a month level called Savory, which is a virtual consult for 15 minutes every month. And if you think 15 minutes is not enough, we can compound them into like 30-minute and hour sessions, where I can walk you through a recipe and like hold your hand while you cook in the kitchen. And it's super fun. I've made cheese boards with people. I've taught people how to roast things. So if you want more of like a guided tour of your own kitchen, the Savory levels for you. Anyway, so Patreon's one way that I'm trying to survive the quarantine. Another way is Etsy. So let me see if I can show you. So Patreon special we talked about. Here's what's in stock on Etsy. I opened a store of dry goods and ingredients. I'm going to be adding a bunch more stuff tonight. But for now, I have lots of rye berries, which, they're like a grain, but they are a lot like barley. They still have the hull on them. They're a little more chewy and toothsome, and they smell so good, like rye bread. It smells good. I've just learned about sprouting rye berries, which is very exciting, and I'm going to be planting them soon. We have rose salt, Jenn salt, which is green tea and brown rice hybrid, barbecue rub, fish rub, and buttermilk ranch powder. There's not a lot of that left, I gotta tell you. I just made some ranch croutons this morning that I'm going to put on salad and on my soups, so I'm very excited to eat those. And then a new thing in the Etsy store is Nashville hot powder. So I made a batch of Nashville hot chicken this weekend, and essentially you make this like spice mix it with oil or butter, and then drizzle that onto the fried chicken afterward. I had a ton of the powder left over, and so I cut it with a bunch of buttermilk powder that I've been using for the ranch. And now it's like a condiment you can sprinkle on anything, like roasted veg. You can mix it with sour cream. You can mix it with butter to like make a dip or like a spread for toast. You can sprinkle it on chicken tenders. Like, there's so many things you can do with the Nashville hot powder. So it's in my store now. There's only like 4 packets. So excited to see what people make with it. Let's see. Hi Wes. Hi Tris. Thanks for joining. This is my first time doing show and tell of what people have made, and I'm so excited to do this. This photo is from Chris. He put the buttermilk ranch powder on the broccoli with pecans and roasted it. It sounds so good. Let's see, what else? So Danielle sent me a photo of her salt arriving. She's been sprinkling it on potatoes and all of her greens. Very cool. Gideon and Lindsay sent me this photo. This was before I was social distancing, but I delivered some nacho cheese to them and pretzels and beer and like some dinner, and they sent me this. I don't remember the name of the dog, but isn't she so cute? My friend Tu Tran got her shipment of salt. She got the sampler, and she was using the rose salt on sticky rice, like coconut sticky rice. I'm allergic to it, but that flavor combination of like the fatty coconut with like a rose. Pretty amazing. Let's see. And finally, my friends Kate and Anthony made bagels. They made Montreal style bagels. And we did a contactless trade on their stoop. I gave them this cured salmon, which was with molasses and pastrami seasoning. So they have pickled onion and the cream cheese. These are really gorgeous bagels. Whoa. So, what's next? So that's Etsy. It's also my birth month. Thanks to all of you who have been celebrating my birthday with me. It was on Sunday. Yeah. If you want to buy me a birthday drink or a birthday treat, my username is this, Randwiches on Venmo. Not required, but just if you want to, you know. It's a nice thing to do. Anyway, so how are you guys doing in the chat? How are all of you? Just want to do vibe checks. I know this has been a tough afternoon. Oh, wait. I feel like I didn't tell you everything that I did. Oh, okay. So, I'll tell you what I did for my birthday. I ordered mushrooms from Smallhold. They're the only organic mushroom farm in Brooklyn. And I ordered a pound of these maitake hen of the woods mushrooms. Aren't they pretty? I also got a pound of lion's mane mushrooms. And I also got what you saw there, the inoculated woodblock, to grow blue oyster mushrooms. So I've got that on a shelf. I cut some X's in it, and then I'm spritzing it 3 times a day until the pins form, and then we spritz around the pins so that they grow out of the bag. Hopefully, that's hopefully how it works. I'm gonna have this for dinner. That's why I have it out and I'm holding it. Yeah. Hi, Sam. Oh my gosh, my allergies are so bad, Tris. What company was that? You mean Smallhold? I'll spell it for you here. Smallhold. Yeah, the Nashville hot chicken was really good, and having it on tofu and seitan sounds like a great idea. Yeah. But there's me and my mushroom block. What's amazing about this is that after the mushrooms are done growing, I'll be able to break it down and start a compost bin with the spent mushrooms. And I'm growing a little bit of things on my patio grates. I'll wait till things actually grow from it before I show you. But yeah, I bought all these mushrooms for myself for my birthday instead of shoes. I was thinking I needed new shoes, and I'm like, well, not really going outside, so don't really need new shoes right now. I also made toffee. This is graham cracker toffee with pepitas, fruit that I've dried, roasted nuts, shards of chocolate that I've kept. Like, whenever I make, like, chocolate bark, I always save the stuff that gets broken or discards. And so I save it for stuff like this that I can, like, sprinkle onto other projects. And I have a guide going up next week on Patreon about how to toffee pretty much anything. So it's pretty exciting. All right, so that's a toffee I made. Yeah, so instead of birthday cake, I like birthday toffee instead. It lasts much longer. I also made some broth from the freezer scraps. I'm making so much room in the freezer. You'd be so proud of me. There's corn cob, there's lots of carrot, there's onion ends in there, bay leaf. There is a burger on the left. I think it was like too freezer burnt for me to like eat it. So I put it in broth. So it's like a chicken bone and beef broth simmering in there. And I've got mushroom stems. What did I do with the first batch of broth? Oh, I made pancotto, which is like a bread soup. The other half of it, I'm going to make a a pomegranate. Shut up, Tris. Tris wants to see a picture of a near empty freezer. Haha. I'm gonna keep freezing this. I'm gonna keep freezing things because when I go grocery shopping, I always freeze half of whatever it is because I know that I won't eat it before it goes bad. So it's just like a Sisyphean task to finish things in my freezer. Anyway, so the other half of the broth, I'm going to make pomegranate barbecue sauce because I have this bottle of pomegranate molasses in the fridge, and I've only used a tablespoon for like a photo shoot I did like at the end of the summer. And so I'm going to try to use it up this week. Michael Twitty, who wrote The Cooking Gene, which was a great book published like last year, he has his quick and dirty pomegranate molasses barbecue sauce recipe that I'm going to try. So, what else did I do for my birthday? Kate and Anthony baked me a birthday cat. I don't think they knew that ginger molasses is my favorite, like, cake and cookie. But this was really fun. If you go back to my old, like, Twitch stream before this, I have, like, a dance party and blow the candle out on this cat. Yeah. I ate the head on camera, too. It's pretty funny. And then today I had a burger. I had a smash burger. A guy named Dan Cooper on Twitter was commiserating with me about having an April birthday and not being able to go out. And so he says for his birthday, he's going to have burgers. And I was like, Dan, that's a great idea. I'm going to have birthday burgers in your honor. And so I did smash burgers today using the trick that I published on Food 52 by putting heavy cream or milk in the beef mix the night before. And so it yields these really soft, tender burgers and forms that, like, if you can see it, there's like lots of great crust on this burger. It has carrot ribbons, truffle cheese, cornichon, like pickles, and balsamic pickled onions. Yeah. So, and of course, this looks big on the screen, but it's a slider, because you know it's me. I don't eat very much. Okay, let's move on. Okay, this technology is like working out. I'm very like proud of what I've been able to do on Twitch. Like add a lower third down here that has my name on it, and now I'm doing like little slideshows and showing you what I've been eating. I hope it's helpful. Okay, let's start talking about all of the ingredients that people have been asking about. So today we're covering some really big topics. So I'll try to check the chat, but I'm going to be referencing like a lot of my notes. So if I miss your question, sorry, and I'll get to you. Today we're going to cover cornmeal. Wes asked about cornmeal. We're also going to talk about potatoes. Peter in San Francisco asked about all the things you can do with potatoes. Irma asked about birria de res, which is a great comforting dish that we all can try together this week. And then Mike asked about how do you combine two distinct dishes and make them into one ultimate dish. So I kind of like that mental exercise, and so we'll try to come up with some new combinations today together. All right, so we're gonna start with cornmeal. Yeah. So cornmeal. Let's change up the music for corn. This is the cornmeal music. We'll go here. No, it didn't work. Okay. Oh yeah. Slow it down a little bit. Okay. Cornmeal. So it's a meal. Coarse flour. So coarse flour is meal. So pretty much any grain can become a meal. So like rice meal is coarse rice flour. Get it? Okay, so cornmeal is from ground dried corn, obviously, and there are 3 different consistencies that you can get. You can get fine, medium, and coarse. So fine is like flour-like, but not quite as fine as flour. Medium, is a little bit bigger pieces, and then coarse is like just cracked, basically. In Mexico, very finely ground cornmeal is referred to as corn flour, even though it's not flour, technically. There's like a thickness quotient here related to flour. And so, you may see it on labels as different things, but it's not technically a flour. Just like how buckwheat is not technically wheat. Okay. So there is a different product that requires a little bit more treatment. So like masa flour that you may have seen in the stores. It's not quite the same as corn flour or cornmeal. It has gone through a process called nixtamalization. The corn is soaked in an alkaline solution or lime water to remove aflatoxins. Yeah, there's toxins in corn. So in some parts of the world, the corn can have a lot of like mycotoxin on it, and so this process, so like soaking it, removes a lot of that and actually brings up the nutritional content, which is crazy. And so you use the masa flour for making arepas, tamales, and tortillas. So that process, you couldn't just make arepas, tamales, and tortillas just from cornmeal. Like, it has to go through this other process because, I don't know, it's like it gives you better texture. Yeah, it's more easily ground. Like I said, the nutritional value is increased. Flavor and aroma are like a little bit more richer. Yeah. So I'm gonna show you. Going to ingredient photos. So it can be yellow, it can be blue, it can be white. This is the blue that's pictured here next to me. It can be steel ground and stone ground. Those are just 2 different grades of coarse ground, because they still include like the hull and the germ, which imparts more of the flavor. So like really, really fine cornmeal doesn't have some of the like chunky hull and germ. And so it's going to be a little less flavorful if you if you care about that. So let's switch back. Excuse me. My allergies are really bad. So I've been a little asthmatic. Excuse me. I'm going to be coughing every now and then. Do we have any questions so far? Hello. Welcome to the chat. Okay, going on about cornmeal. So the most common uses, you'll recognize it as polenta in Europe. You can use it as breading for fried foods, baked foods, fried fish, catfish. It can be like a breakfast cereal, like porridge. It is what Cheetos are made out of. Did you know that? Hey, sorry. You can use it as a batter for fried food, like corn dogs. You can make it into bread, corn fritters, cornbread, hush puppies, Johnny cakes, broom bread, corn chips like Fritos, but not tortilla chips or corn tortillas, which are made from nixtamalized maize flour. Whoa, it's a long sentence. Medium ground and coarse cornmeal are also grits, which I love. And you might recognize it from being the like crumbly, rough stuff under the crust of your pizza. And that's to keep it from sticking to the pan. It's like putting a bunch of marbles under a plate of glass, like to make it move and smooth. It's like ball bearings. Is that weird? I don't know. Yeah, so Cheetos essentially are corn batter that's deep fried. So it's been aerated. The proprietary recipe is, I don't know what it is, but it's basically puffed corn. Excuse me, I'm gonna take a drink of water. All right. Moving on about cornmeal. So those are like the familiar ways that we use cornmeal, but there are so many ways to use it. It is, technically an ancient grain. There were a crazy long list of dishes from Africa and from the Caribbean. And so these are the some that I pulled out that I think were exciting, or ones that I've never heard of. Like there's cuckoo from Barbados. That's mostly cornmeal and okra together. There's tuwo masera from northern Nigeria. Nomadi from Congo. Let's see, ugali. So this is from Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. And a really fun video, if you want to save it for later, Lupita Nyong'o, that actress, she has a video on Vogue where she learns how to make ugali from her mother, and it's pretty amazing. It's, so far as I've seen from this collection of recipes, cornmeal is used and cooked not like a polenta. Polenta is like delicately stirred and like simmering over, over medium heat. But like these have, each country in Africa has like a special implement and a special bowl for serving the cornmeal. Like it's more of cooking it over heat with liquid and beating the crap out of it. And then it's molded into a bowl and then cut up in the slices. And so let me get into here. So this one I found a recipe for funchi. It's a cornmeal mush from the Aruba tourism website. So I'll show you what that looks like. Funchi. All right, so it's like a cake situation. So it's a simple cornmeal preparation. It must be vigorously stirred while cooking, and to the rhythm of these rotations, old-time cooks repeated pa mi, pa bo, pe. And funchi is then scooped from the kettle with a round calabash. So you use like a dried out like gourd, and you put it on a plate. And that rhythmic thing that you recite with it, it means one for me, one for you, one for him. Isn't that nice? So it's 1 1/4 cups water, 1 1/2 cups cornmeal, salt, 1 1/2 cups boiling water, and butter. So you bring it to a boil over high heat, cook it for 3 minutes, stir it vigorously with a wooden spoon or a palo di funchi. So palo di funchi is a specific tool for like beating the crap out of the cornmeal. So when it's really stiff and starts to pull away from the sides of the pan, you remove it from the fire. You put it into a buttered bowl, cover that with a plate, and then you like turn it over and like shake it out. So it's like a molded jello. And then you serve it with butter and bacon and scrambled eggs. And that's a brunch thing that you do in Aruba. Yeah, neat. Okay, so let's switch back here. Other dishes from around the world. We have arapash from Albania, kachamak from Bulgaria. So in Bulgaria, it's served with heated lard, sunflower oil, with small amounts of paprika, pepper, cracklins, and serene cheese. Oh, that sounds crazy. Serene is like Bulgarian feta, basically. In Montenegro, they prepare cornmeal with crushed potatoes and cheese until a thick mass is formed. Whoa, it's intense. Central Serbia, it's white cornmeal served with white cheese and minced meat roasted in butter. Boiled grape juice. Whoa, what? Boiled grape juice, milk, plain yogurt, honey, sour cream, and sometimes with bacon. Okay, Serbia, get it. In Asia, we have wutu. It's Chinese cornbread, basically. It's a type of steamed bread made in northern China. It translates, you're going to like this, to nest thing. It's really great. In northern China, rice doesn't really grow very well, and so in their version of congee, they either cut rice with cornmeal or they just use cornmeal completely. And so, congee recipes sometimes have fish sauce and soy sauce or a poached egg. It's very exciting. There's also in India, maki de roti, traditional Punjabi bread, often eaten with saag, like saag paneer. Another function of cornmeal is to be an additive to batters. So, like I said with congee, because rice doesn't grow very well, there was like a mixture of rice and cornmeal. So, in pretty much all of the international breads that I've seen, there are some additions of cornmeal. Like, so in Ethiopian injera, they, in some parts where corn is more prominent, they add it to the batter. Let's see. There's also in Western and Central Africa, there's fufu. And then, let's see. There's just so much. Yeah, there's so many. But the one that's most relevant to me with cornmeal is thickening a bowl of like a batch of chili. So I've been using masa harina, which I think is a blend. It's a smoother blend into the sauce, basically. So if you have my cookbook, you see that most of my chili recipes add like about 2 tablespoons of masa harina at the end. And that's not added at the beginning because it can really like get lost when we're trying to unlock all of these flavors by building, herbs and spices in the very beginning. And we don't really thicken until the very end. Because the thicker it is, the more it'll burn onto the pot, and we don't really want that. Anyway, does anyone else have any questions about cornmeal so far? That was like a lot of information, and I think the perspective of this stream is more about giving you more mental tools to like cook than to show you exactly how to cook, because I don't want to give you an unrealistic idea of like what something should look like, because when people cook food, it's never going to look the same. I think it's better to like have the tools than me prescribing exactly how you're going to do this. Anyway, that was cornmeal. There you go. If you have any more cornmeal questions, you can ask me in the chat or, tweet me. Ooh, okay. Let's move on to potatoes. So Peter asked about potatoes. And this is a very, very wide subject. So if you have any specific potato questions, you can ask me in the chat. But let me just tell you a few fun things about potatoes. First of all, did you know that there is a potato museum in Idaho? Admission is $6. While they are currently closed because of the virus, they still encourage people to drive by and take a photo of the giant potato outside. Let me show you. This is the Idaho Potato Museum in Blackfoot, Idaho. Whoa! Sam says, fun fact, Washington State produces more potatoes than Idaho. I did not know that. That's hilarious. Whoa. And Wes is going to use cornmeal in your dinner tonight now. You're very welcome. Okay, so a group of people in the potato industry have been talking and brainstorming for years about a way to showcase potatoes and their importance to the local Idaho economy. Union Pacific, the train company, donated an old railroad station in Blackfoot to Blackfoot City. And basically they decided to turn this old railroad station into the Potato Museum. It cracks me up. I feel like my mission was like, My mission should be, like, after all this is over, to drive to Idaho and visit the potato museum. I want to go there so badly now. Okay. Get into the technical stuff. So the potato. Oh, let's change the music. So let's have potato music. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. The potato, aka Solanum tuberosum, originated in the region of southern Peru, where it was first domesticated between 3000 BC and 2000 BC. That is an old-ass potato. So, the genus Solanum, so I said it's Solanum tuberosum, is part of the nightshade family. So, along with tomato, eggplant, bell pepper, and chili pepper. And it makes sense that those ingredients are often seen with each other. Yeah, so potato and tomato, sounds great. Potato and eggplant, sounds great. Bell peppers and tomatoes, sounds great. But, okay, so we can eat potatoes, and nightshades are generally poisonous, so why is it in the nightshade family? Well, there are toxic compounds known as glycoalkaloids, which protect the potato plant from predators. And so those are generally concentrated in the leaves, the flowers, the sprouts, and fruits. So fruits are what grow above ground. So the tubers, what we actually eat, the potatoes, are underground. So there are no such things as potato trees. Sorry to break it to you. And so exposure to light, physical damage, and age increase that glycoalkaloid content within the tuber. So avoid green potatoes for this reason. The green means it's been exposed to too much light, like it's supposed to have been buried. So too much light equals the production of chlorophyll, which results in that green color in green potatoes. So watch out for those. They shouldn't be selling them to you. If they are, they're not paying attention. Sad. So, another name for potatoes is spud. You know, you might have heard that. I think it mostly was in the 90s. Like, it's not really in fashion right now to call it a spud. But it might come. There are a lot of sources, but the one that I think is most convincing and sounds the sexiest is that it comes from the Spanish word espada, meaning spade, which is the tool you use to dig a small hole to plant a potato. So the potato was first introduced in Europe by Spain in 1536, and they were not quite accepted all at once. Like, the clergy pretty much said, potatoes are not in the Bible, so they're evil. They cause diseases. They're not good for you. This foreign thing. Does that sound familiar? This foreign thing is scary and dangerous? Oh my god. Ugh. Anyway, so that is kind of ridiculous. So people think that the name spud, like what we call potatoes, was actually from this group in Britain called the Society for the Prevention of Unwholesome Diet. So all these societies formed to lobby for and propagandize the expulsion of potatoes. Society for the Prevention of Unwholesome Diet, SPUD. But I think the sexier origin story is for espada, or spade, which you use to garden. Also, accompanying Sam's fact from earlier, so Sam shared a fact that Washington State produces more potatoes than Idaho, but Idaho has, I guess, more of a marketing budget? I don't know. The world's largest potato producing country is China. No surprise there. The average American eats about 140 pounds of potatoes per year. I don't think that counts me. I don't really eat a lot of potatoes. Germans are among the biggest potato lovers. They eat more than 200 pounds of potato per year. Did you know that potatoes are 80% water? In 1995, potato plants were taken into space with the Space Shuttle Columbia, This marked the first time any food was ever grown in space. It's just like that movie The Martian. I never saw it, but someone spoiled it for me and what happens with potatoes. However, the jury is still out at NASA Veggie and Dr. Massa, who I got to hear speak a couple years ago. So in 1995, they brought already grown potato plants up into space. They haven't been able to grow them from the rhizome, which is crazy. So currently, NASA Veggie is able to grow red romaine lettuce, Tokyo bacana, so like Chinese cabbage-ish, cabbage, lettuce, and mizuna. And it's fascinating. They haven't quite moved to root vegetables or tomatoes yet, but those are sort of the next things that they will tackle after they perfect growing greens in space. And I don't know, I've told a few of you this, but there is another layer of sanitization that you have to do. I mean, I guess we are sort of getting a taste of it now. But because they're growing greens in a microbiome, like inside of the International Space Station, there are still people in there breathing, sharing bacteria, and there's dust and there's dander. And so even up in the space station, you still have to wash your greens. But you can't quite have running water in a space station. And so how do they clean greens? They have sanitary towels, like sanitization towels that they press each leaf for like 20 seconds. Like, that is a long ass time to make a salad. So I can't imagine if they were to bring up like a garden box of dirt and grow potatoes. Like, how would you clean the potatoes? My mind is boggled. Anyway, that's my tangent about NASA Veggie, which is a space program that I was very interested in, and maybe eventually when I get older, go to grad school and like do that. I'm fascinated about how we can grow things in space or in difficult terrain, like Mars. All right. So when you're buying potatoes, I feel like a lot of this is obvious, but maybe not for first-time cooks at home. So, buy loose potatoes. I try to avoid buying them in the bags because you can't really look at all of them. So make sure that they're smooth, firm, like there's no mushiness. So smoothness is meaning there's no broken skin or like soft parts. They should be firm. It's okay if they have eyes. And it shouldn't be multicolored. Like, they can be different colors as a whole, but they shouldn't have more than one color. So like I said earlier, if it has green on it, that means that it's producing chlorophyll, which means that it hasn't been stored properly. So avoid anything with cracks, bruises, or soft spots. Most potatoes are classified by shape, skin, and use. So like boiling potatoes, steaming potatoes, that kind of stuff, roasting potatoes. There are thousands of varieties, but not all of them are commercially available. You'll get to see some of the more interesting kinds of potatoes at farmers markets, which I hear have been trying to stay open or doing curbside pickup. So at least in Greenpoint where I live, McGorrick Park is taking a break for Easter weekend, but they'll be back. A lot of the vendors have like a Facebook group where you can like do curbside pickup, which is exciting. But anyway, some of the popular types of potatoes out there: Russet, Yukon Gold, Kennebec, Desiree. I forgot a Desiree. Fingerling, which are the skinny ones. And then some of the like more interesting ones, at least in the New York area that I found, are Adirondack. They're blue and small. A Larotte, which is a French, sort of French fingerling, but it's meant for creamy mashed potatoes. You may have seen a Bon Appetit video where they make like all kinds of mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving, and Larotte is one of them. And there's also purple potatoes. Very exciting. Yeah, so I already talked about green potatoes. So, a note about red and white potatoes. Sometimes those are treated with food coloring and wax to make them appear fresher than they actually are. So make sure you know where those potatoes are coming from, and like take a really good look at them. Like rub your fingernail on it to see if like a piece of wax comes off or like residue. I would really scrub those hard if you do have some red and white potatoes that may have like extra coating. You know, Idaho potatoes, you know, Yukon Gold russets are great for baking, baked potato. I haven't had a baked potato in forever. Maybe I'll just do a loaded baked potato. Oh, we got a fact check here from Sam. While Idaho potatoes produce more potatoes, Washington farmers claim efficiency harvesting about 60,000 pounds of potatoes per acre. Thank you for that. Yeah, don't spread Pacific Northwest lies. Hey, Christoph. Thanks for joining. Glad to see ya. All right. More about potatoes. New potatoes, those are the small ones. They're called new because they're dug early. They're not like a new variety of potato. It's because they are dug up from the earth a little early before the skins have set. And so the skin is more permeable, more delicate. And so it's great for boiling and steaming. That's why they're so tender. They haven't formed like a rough skin yet. Storing potatoes. Do not store your potatoes in the fridge, y'all. If they are currently in the fridge, I will pause and let you go take them out of the fridge. Do not wash your potatoes before storing. Introducing water will create opportunity for bacteria to grow, and it will promote growth, you know, like all those little eyes that are on there, they're gonna open up and be like, hi, you're watering me? It's time for me to like grow things. So do not wash your potatoes before storing. So potatoes can be safely stored in a dry, dark place for up to 3 months. Try to aim for 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, so do not use the cabinet next to your oven. You know, try like a lower shelf in a wooden box, something covered. Don't use plastic. If you use plastic, don't cover it. Just try to keep it out of the sun and in a cool spot. Yeah. Runs in shame to take them out of the fridge. Yeah, so when you keep potatoes in the fridge, they create a lot of sugar. And all of those enzymes on the inside of the potato start to break the starch down. Oh, there's a dog. Sorry if you heard that. It's okay. I mean, you're going to have those potatoes before 3 months is up, so they're not going to, like, taste terrible. But if they do taste terrible, you know why. Okay, let's get to cooking some potatoes. So you can bake, boil, steam them in their skins. There are lots of nutrients in the skin, but I totally understand if you want to peel the thicker russet potatoes, because that outside skin can be a little, like, hard to bite through. But, you know, some of the new potatoes, white potatoes, red potatoes, have a really, really thin skin, and you should try to keep those on. They have a lot more to offer you. When you take off the skin, you lose, like, some of the nutrients. And a cooking trick is to peel and prep potatoes, like cut them into the shapes that you want them, and store them in cold water to keep them crisp. But the downside here is that you are losing some of those nutrients that I was talking about. So, do you want a crispier potato, or do you want nutrients? I don't know. It's a tough decision. What would you do? Would you want a crisp potato, or do you want the nutrients? Take a drink of water. So much potato talk. Okay. Back to it. So, some ways to prepare, like, the basics of preparing potatoes. So, I do the crisp thing. I kind of value texture over nutrients. A lot of people probably say that. I parboil my potatoes before I roast them. So So like I boil them for 8 minutes and then drain them and let them cool off. And then I can put them back in the fridge and have them ready to roast another time. Or I can continue boiling them and make them mashed potatoes. So it's like a choose your own adventure. And my favorite way to eat roasted potatoes, so I toss them in mustard and olive oil and garlic, roast them at 400, and every 15 minutes just kind of toss them, make sure they're not sticking to the pan. And if you keep tossing them over the course of like 45 minutes to an hour, they're gonna be like crispy on all sides. And I love those on an arugula salad with lemon. My favorite. Or you could roast potatoes and then have them in like a breakfast skillet with eggs and bacon, just like they used to have at Denny's. Do you remember that? It was like a really short promotion. Anyway. Yeah, so prepping potatoes, you can throw them on salad, make a potato soup. One of my favorite potato soups is called vichyssoise, which is a cold cream of potato soup. And I don't remember whose recipe it was, but when I was younger, I would do fried leeks on top and then like a swirl of olive oil. So good. You can make French fries, you can make hash browns, you can make tats, leftover mashed potatoes. I think it's just great to have like a batch of mashed potatoes in the freezer because mashed potatoes are a great topping for shepherd's pie and cottage pie. Or if you make like a beef stew and you have like more mashed potatoes, you can like put the mashed potatoes on top of the beef stew, brush some egg on it, and then bake that. Yeah. You can also waffle mashed potatoes. Or you can waffle parboiled potatoes. So, do you know what that means when you waffle something? You basically turn on a waffle iron and stick things in the waffle iron that aren't waffles. So mashed potatoes can waffle. You can make croquettes. Those are some of my favorite things. You can make Spanish tortilla. Like, quarantine is a perfect time to perfect your Spanish tortilla because not only is it a great breakfast thing, it's served cold. You can slice it and have it all week. Another good potato dish is patatas bravas, which are roasted potatoes with paprika, and then you make like an aioli, like a very, very strong garlic aioli. And I think a really popular potato preparation from last year was Hasselback. Have you had a Hasselback potato before? It's, oh, I wish I got a picture of it. Dang. But basically, you boil a whole potato, after washing it, and then you slice, you slice 3/4 of the way down. And so it makes this like file folder, like texture of the potato. And then you brush butter on that and roast that. And so it has this like, so it's like a crispy baked potato. It has like layers. I don't know. I've never actually done it. Maybe I'll do it. Yeah, maybe I'll do that tonight. Right, Hasselback potato, tonight. Yeah, and then of course, classic gratin, scalloped potatoes. Fun fact about those, if you have leftover scalloped potatoes, they are great on a pizza. Like, great. If you don't think about you're eating a carb on a carb. I mean, why not, YOLO? Have a carb on a carb. Does anyone have any potato questions for me? How are we doing, everybody? What did you eat today? Please tell me. I'm gonna hit a fill on the Casio while I wait for people to tell me what you ate today. Oh yeah. Okay, we're coming up on an hour. Trish says you had pastrami and egg sandwich, cauliflower potato soup. Ooh, you sent me that picture of the cauliflower potato soup. I will put that in the next stream so we can give people ideas of what to do. Was the cauliflower chunky in your soup, or was it blended in nicely with the potato? Tell me about the texture of it. Wes had turmeric, lentil, and garbanzo bean soup. Oh, y'all are having your soups today. Goodness. I had smash burgers. Actually, I'll show you my smash burgers again. Some of you may have missed the smash burgers. There's my smash burger. Oh, so yours was blended. Cool. Sometimes I'm bothered by the texture of cauliflower when it's not like roasted enough or cooked down enough. But I found soaking cauliflower in like dairy helps smooth it out a little bit. Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to... this is really exciting. So... I know I've been like focusing on ingredients, and someone wanted to know about a recipe. So while I'm not like in front of you cooking, I can still talk about recipes and walk you through them. So Irma asked about birria de res. So birria, B-I-R-R-I-A. It's generally a spicy stew. Actually, let's do some birria music. Bossa Nova. No, that's not what I wanted. Here, this. Oh yeah, okay. So birria de res. Generally a spicy stew from Jalisco, made from either goat, lamb, and in this case, de res means of beef. Have any of you had this? So Jalisco is in western Mexico, and its capital is, you might find this familiar, Guadalajara. And I love that Jalisco used to be called Xalisco with an X, you know, and that means over a sandy surface. Like this city was made over a sandy surface. I love that. So birria, besides being comforting as hell, it's typically a celebration dish for baptisms, holidays, weddings. It's kind of like how Filipinos have a whole lechon at parties. So I've seen a few recipes combine the meats, like beef chuck with oxtail to get like hearty chunks, but then also like sheen of fat and like meltiness. And the basic breakdown of the recipe is you get beef cubes, marinate it in a lot of like garlic, onion, rehydrated guajillo peppers, ancho peppers, cumin seeds, cinnamon, and maybe marjoram. A lot of people have swapped either marjoram for oregano. And so you make a huge like sauce from all this stuff and then marinate the meat in it. And then you bake it until the beef is falling apart. It's also easily left in a slow cooker or speedily made in an Instant Pot. It's like it can take up to 8 hours on low in a slow cooker, or as fast as like 4 on high. I know, I kind of want to try it. But the key steps for making pretty much any Latin American saucy dish is toasting the peppers and spices thoroughly before you start to release the oils. So like all these spices, like chili peppers and seed spices, they all have volatile oils that are inside. And when they're dried, you're not really activating them if they're at room temperature. So you need to heat them up to like get the oils going. It's kind of like how there are some trees in forests, like during a forest fire, some seeds get released in fire. And so spices are kind of like that. So you can use water to hydrate your guajillo and ancho peppers, but for an extra flavor boost, use beef broth. Duh. And so you eat birria with like warm tortillas, cilantro, crema sour cream. You can do Fritos. I would probably use chips. And you can have side of beans and rice, whatever you got. It sounds like a really great recipe. But wait, let me tell you that it can get better than it already sounds. There are Tijuana-style quesadilla tacos. So queso, cheese. cheese birria tacos. So you start with this braised beef dish that you made, but you break it up. You heat a tortilla in a pan, sprinkle it with lots of cheese. You can try melty stuff like Oaxaca or mozzarella. And then you add a tong full of the birria de res on top. And then you eat the taco by dipping it back in the birria broth. It's like a French dip, but like a cheesy taco. And I got to eat this taco at Tacos El Patron in the Mission District in San Francisco. Let me show you what it looks like. It is the most beautiful thing. And it didn't last very long on the plate. Look at that goddamn thing. Look at it. This is from the Eater article by Luke Tsai, and the photo is by Patricia Chang, in case they are watching. Look at it. Look at it. So basically you make the stew, put the meat in the taco with like lots of cheese, and then dip it back. It's so good. My mouth is watering. I'm so hungry. I'm really hungry right now. Can you tell? So, yes. Has anyone had this? I've had the goat version, and I've had this version in San Francisco, but has anyone else had this or any other version of it? There's like not much else in the stew itself. It's just the meat and all the blended stuff. It is beautiful. I know, Tris. I know. It is so good. And at this place, Tacos El Patron, they also have this dish called mulitas that I've never heard in my life. So what they are corn tortillas that, you know, it starts the same way. It's like a corn tortilla with like melted cheese, and then they do the birria on top, and then they sandwich another tortilla on top. So it's like kind of like a Mexican pizza from Taco Bell, but they've sandwiched it with cheese and the beef. And you don't really dip that one, but it was a lot. It was a lot. It was so good. All right, back to the main screen. What do you guys think of all these like new technological things that I can do now? I'm like, I can't wait until I have like tickers and like whatever on the sides of the screens. They'll be like, hello. Favorite comment on the screen, you know, that kind of thing. 3 camera, oh, come on. Okay, let's switch the music again, because I'm going to get to maybe our last question. Oh, yeah. This one's called Pops. Let's hear the fill for this. Oh, all right. Do we have any questions about Birria? I mean, all I know is that I want to make it. Thanks, Irma, for asking that question. Okay, so our last question came from Mike. How do you combine 2 regular dishes to make one super one? Like, this is... I love this question. You won't see the answer to this question, like, New York Times recipes section. Like, I love this. So basically, here's how I approach cooking things. I used to look at, well, so I have a copy of the Flavor Bible in California, and I don't have it with me. But if you can't get the book by Karen Page and Andrew Dornenberg, the website still has a helpful excerpt under the heading Flavor Pairings and Affinities. So Flavor Bible is this amazing, amazing thesaurus for ingredients. So it's sorted alphabetically, and under each ingredient, so like artichoke is at the very beginning, it has all the things that it goes with. And they tell you, well, the way that they put the book together was that these 2 people surveyed all of these like famous chefs, like Michelin star chefs, like so-and-so and so-and-so, people who have famous recipes for things. And they asked them to fill out a battery of, so what are the best combinations of things? And so they compiled all of it. And when you see like a listing for like artichoke, there are all these things that go with it. But if more than one chef agreed that, you know, artichoke is really good with Parmesan, for example, they bold it. And so when you're scanning through this book, you can see like what were the most popular pairings. And so from there, this is how I think about making new flavor combinations. So I look I look at common ingredient and cooking method. So what do I mean? What do I mean by that? So if tomato goes with basil, separate, okay, on one hand, if tomato goes with basil, and on the other hand, basil goes with strawberry, wouldn't it make sense that tomato and strawberry go together? You know? I know the exercise doesn't always work, but it's fun to try and think about foods that way and then play with it yourself and like take a bite of both and be like, yeah, that'll work. And when it comes to same methods of cooking, wouldn't it make sense to cook them together? Like, if I steamed sweet potato and I also steam rice, wouldn't it make sense to steam them together? I mean, I would have to look at cooking time of both of them and like time it right, but I've done it before. Like I've like in the rice cooker, just like chopped up a sweet potato and then threw it in the rice cooker with the rice, and it gets like steamed into it. You know, so if you think about roasting things together, think about boiling things together. Like pasta is a great example of that. So you're making pasta and it says 8 minutes. You want to put peas, but peas only take like a minute. So you throw in the peas a minute before the pasta's done. Yeah. So that's sort of like insight into how I work through new recipe combinations and flavors, like when I'm trying to come up with something new. I also think about substrates and vehicles. So those are like scientific words, but you'll see what I mean in a second. So a substrate is like an underlying layer or substance. So like when, for example, oysters cling to piers, the pier is the substrate. When we talk about like tide pools, the rocks are substrata for starfish to cling to. So like substrate, or like the vehicle, it can be a tortilla. It can be a plate of chips for nachos. It can be pizza dough, toast. So how do you take these basic vehicles of substrates and challenge what they are and put new things on top? So let that marinate with you for a while. Like, I think I was talking to a few of you about this, but I think the way that when I was first making random sandwiches, like when I was first starting out, I tried to think about my favorite soups. And how do I make that soup into a sandwich? You know, how do I dry it out but still maintain like the natural flavoring of the soup? Yeah. I know, all of this is like a lot, but this is what I think about. All right, let's have some fun with this. So, take two of my favorite dishes, like pho and a cheesesteak. Seemingly unrelated. What do they have in common? Beef. How about a banh mi French dip? Does that sound good? I feel like I made one of those a while ago. I did like a pastrami banh mi French dip. Yeah. All right, friends, let's play with this idea. Give me two dishes that don't really have much in common, and then we'll see how we can like structurally combine them. So, two dishes. Or you can name one dish and we can smush it with someone else's dish that they say in the chat. I like this. Participatory exercise. It's time for a drum fill. That was my, like, thinking music for you. Come on, guys, tell me a dish or two. We can, like, put it together. Pad Thai PBJ! That is great, because it goes well together already. So there's already so pad thai are noodles in like a shrimp paste, crushed nuts, vegetables, fish sauce. It's not far off from Thai peanut curry. So you could do a pad thai drunken noodle, you know, and like do a thicker drunken noodle like sauce. Or the other way around, you could do a pad thai PB&J sandwich. Ooh. Like take out all the noodles and put all the filling and vegetables in a sandwich. Dude. I love that. That's so cool. My friend Matt Timms used to have a radio show on Heritage Network called Mind Kitchen. And it's basically Chopped, but, you know, we're not actually, like, cooking. We're just thinking through what's possible. And I think I chose having a whole goat because I was like, well, you said there's no time constraint, so I could very well, you know, harvest milk from the goat and make cheese and then, like, kill the goat and, like, have all these other things. It's so funny when you remove time from the possibilities and from the constraints and, like, think about if I had all the time in the world, which I do now, what would I do with a goat? It's ridiculous. Anyway, we'll continue this exercise next week. I think it might be a fun thing to do every week, where we think about dishes that don't really go together. Okay, Wes says chili con carne and falafel wraps. Do you mean like pita falafel? I mean, chili in a pita wrap sounds fucking great. Like, you know, we could break the chili down into its ingredients, right? So, chili peppers, beef, tomato. So you could make like a confit tomato, you know, you make like a tomato chutney-ish thing to make like a spread for the falafel wrap. And then pretty much make like a sloppy Joe situation with the falafel wraps. Or you could fry or bake the falafel wraps so they're crispy. There are so many things. Making a pizza from there. What else? Does anyone else have any ideas with the chili? So breaking the chili apart into its essential ingredients, you could do that. How do we make the chili into falafel balls? Oh, that's totally possible. We could basically make, you just add, well, actually, if you just do chickpea chili, chickpeas are the basis of falafel. So you could do chili flavored falafel. You see the gears turning in my head while you... I was like, yeah. Oh, that sounds fun. I like that. Does anyone have any other cooking questions? Those are all the things that I did research for this week. We can keep doing more exercises because this is fun. If you missed the beginning of the stream, last week we talked about farro and buckwheat and currants and cacao nibs. And you can watch all the clips here on my channel. Like, I cut out all the highlights, so you can just, you don't have to watch the whole stream. You can just hit the highlights. If you click on the videos link above my head, and Twitch deletes the streams after 2 weeks, so I'll be uploading the archive to YouTube immediately after every stream. And of course, I talked about Patreon for a long time. You liked the last idea best. Awesome. So, as a reminder, I feel like a lot of you are already on Patreon with me. But, I have like a birth month special. If you join the $2 a month tier, before April 30th, I'll mail you some stickers. I'll mail you an egg sticker designed by my friend Rachel. Yeah. And if you're already like a member, this is just, you know, and you didn't get a sticker, message me, because I'll mail one to you. But yeah, that was a lot of stuff. We covered cornmeal, we covered potatoes, covered birria, and then had this fun little exercise about combining dishes. At least that's how I think through it. Whenever I watch Chopped or pretend I'm on Chopped, like that's what I'm going through in my head. Like, okay, these 4 ingredients have nothing in common. Can I cook them together? Can I roast it? Can I peel it? Can I pickle it? Can I, you know? Dope. Does anyone else have any more cooking questions? We'll switch back. Did you see all the submitted photos? Oh wait, here, let's go to this. This was Kate and Anthony's bagel with salmon. This is 2 using rose salt on sticky rice. This is rose salt arriving at 2's house. This is Gideon and Lindsay's dog. Danielle got her salts in the mail as well. And then Chris used buttermilk ranch on roasted broccoli with pecans. That sounds so good. Wait, maybe I'll just go back to my mushroom photo. Look, it's me and my mushroom friend. Oh, wait, I did it wrong. Oh yeah, you pretend you're on Chopped too? Yeah. It's a good way to, like, not get bored of your food. And I get bored of food very quickly. Which is a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is that I'm constantly eating something new and, like, I have new ideas. But I'm also extremely wasteful in a way. Not that I'm not eating the food, it's just that it's not economical. You know, if I were being economical, I would eat the same thing every day and just finish things. But I save a lot of stuff in the freezer. Goodness. All right, last call for questions from the chat. If you have a cooking question, anything, no question is too small or too big. Well, I'll give you a preview of next week. So next time, on Wednesday at 5 p.m., Kristen asked, what do you do when you are out of eggs? This is a big problem. So if you are not able to go to the store as often, what do you do when you run out of eggs? Omar had a follow-up question, why are yolks so gross? I'm not going to be insulted by this question because there are answers to it. And at one point in my life, they were gross. So we'll get into that next week. Ryan asked about smoking meats. This is something I think a lot of people can get into while they're at home for long periods of time. Wes asked about cassava flour. And Joe asked about everything about eggs. I'm not sure that I'll be able to tackle everything about eggs in one stream session, but I'll certainly try. Oh, speaking of eggs, I keep forgetting to put an egg on myself. We can never forget the eggs. So this is the, actually, let me take these away for a second. This is the egg that, if you join my Patreon, this is the one you'll get. But, you know, if I suddenly have a lot more income from that Patreon, we'll start printing the other eggs that you see on the screen. Rachel drew, like, a face for every type of egg, so the hard-boiled egg has a face also. And vegan option for pepperoni pizza. Ooh, that's kind of tough. For redness, you could do roasted beets. So you can roast whole beets, slice them into rounds, and then if you look up a pepperoni curing, like doing pepperoni, like meat pepperoni from scratch recipe, you can dress the beets in those seasonings. And then you can dry them out a little bit more in the oven to get more of like a pepperoni texture. But I would try starting with beets before going to fake meats. There are a few vegan companies out there, but they're a little expensive. So like there's field roast chorizo, field roast pepperoni, but I don't think the texture is quite right. At least with a beet, you'll get like a circular like shape and bite. There's also a cured meat called induja, which is basically spreadable chorizo, and I believe there's a new brand that has like a vegan version of it. I know that's not quite pepperoni, but it is the closest in texture to a cured meat that is vegan. But yeah, I'd like to think about that more too. I picked a beet because it roasts really well, and I know that it can be, when you slice it thin enough, but not thin enough to be a chip, it can still be a significant like bite, as if you were biting into pepperoni. But I think you could also do potato, and use pepperoni seasonings. What else? I mean, I would use paprika or annatto seeds to make it red, but that's if you care about red. I would just do white potatoes and pepperoni flavorings. But that's a great question. I'd like to think about that more. I also want to try it. Cool. Thanks for that question. No, that was great. Great question. All right, everybody. So next week, we're going to talk about eggs. We're going to talk about smoking meats and cassava flour, to the best of my abilities. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that you are able to eat something great tonight and, I don't know, watch a movie and not look at the news. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll be back next Wednesday at 5. In the meantime, oh, I forgot. I'm going to be naming my mushroom inoculated block. So a lot of people have submitted names, and then you can still submit a name on my Instagram, but I'm gonna make like a March Madness sort of bracket for the names, and then you can vote on them later. So I'm excited to name my mushrooms. But anyway, good night, everybody, and I hope you have a great dinner tonight.